See how it works. Can everybody see me in there? That stick figure in there?
Cool. Is that ghost tube?
Yeah.
We've used that before.
So this is an SLS camera. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to debunk a few things for you guys right off the top. So I should have 3 points for my face. Am I correct? 3 points because I have 2 eyes and a nose. It's a depth perception camera. It will pick up on anything that's in front of something else. Now I know that Melissa also uses this. So with this camera, I do a lot of screenshots. So the screenshots, in a nutshell, I make sure that it is not a parking meter, a bicycle, we'll just say Rick lurking in the darkness. You guys are getting the point. When those screenshots are there, I brighten them up so I can see if anything is outlining it from behind it. Does that make sense to everybody? This is a great debunking tool. So have I caught things with this? Sure I have. So I would say probably about, we'll say 8 to 10 in the past year and a half that I would like definitely stamp of approval. We had interaction. Jackson, if you find something on there, ask a direct question like, hey, if you're the ghost we're hunting down, raise your right hand. Like wave back at me, that kind of mentality. If you get an interaction, obviously we have something going on. We are outdoors. Leaves are not your friend. So trees, bushes, and the like are always gonna have a leaf in front of another leaf. It's always gonna try to put a hangman in the tree. It's not a ghost, okay? I'm gonna debunk a lot of things for you as we kind of move on. Do you have one red circle that's moving around on your screen right now? Go ahead and tap it. That's your stop bomb. So what's going to happen with this location is I'm going to give you the history, and then we're all going to spread out. I'm going to keep Melissa behind with me for a few minutes to show her a little bit more about how to toggle that thing around, and then I'll do a round robin with everybody and take a few notes, and then bring us to the back to reveal all of the answers and show you how it all ties together. So where the heck are you? You're in a parking lot. Congrats, you made it. I told you, I take you to some weird spots. This place used to be something. So, by the way, communication devices, word list, Ouija board, spirit boxes, this is where I start withholding information on purpose. I will not be giving you questions here like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You will be getting the answers from your communication boxes. So, this place used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion sat in the front of the space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza, everybody watch the car move towards me. There's only one way in and out of this. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. That's the layout of the land. So, who the heck were Charles and Eliza? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Chucks in case nobody was paying attention. It's exactly why we look for secondary clues. I need to know in the event that Abby hears the name Charles, which one it is, and hopefully it's going to be a secondary clue that comes from another communication device so I know how to address them. Moving on. The son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Big deal for us in South Carolina, but I hate politics more than all of you combined, especially after the news we've been getting over the past few weeks. Yes, absolutely. We're going to move on. If I don't give the gentleman their recognition for signing the Constitution, they will do it for me in a nasty manner on a spirit box. So I just make sure I give them the recognition, we move on. Let's talk about Eliza instead. Much better story. Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say it slowly because if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, do not expect numbers like from the colonial days that she came from, like 12 and 14 when young ladies got married. Think of today's standards when people get married because the husband was over double her age when they married. It was creepy then, it's creepy now. I'm just going to put that out there. Now, she married him because her father was over in England. I really hope that guy is not taking it.
I don't know. Get him connected back. Connected back.
Connect me back up here, would you?
Oh, yeah, you broke it.
Just pay attention to it.
Takes about 30 seconds to load up. There you go. So, where was I? The Chucks, and then Eliza married, and then the husband was double her age. So again, just kind of giving you guys clues of what to listen for when you guys are asking your questions. She married him because her father was over in England, and he thinks he's dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time so he could see him. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so instead she stayed put right here, got married. Well, it's 1744. You do not get married in that particular year to earn a green card. We're not a country yet, so she didn't marry him out of love. This is a true love story. There is nothing horrific about this location. If anything, it is a place of respect. So as we kind of explore the space, just remember when you're asking your own questions, just be respectful at this location, please. All activity will stop if you are not. Moving on. She was correct. Dad did not die right away, and instead he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. That's a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. I don't think anybody... Oh, wait, we got one candidate. So Melissa's got it on because that's how we use it today. When Eliza got her seeds, no idea what to do with it. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it going. And then she moved it over to a cash crop.
It's 12.7.
Nice. So that's your new baseline. Don't give me anything below that 12.7. Perfect. So then she learned how to make the dye at this location, moved into a cash crop, got a hold of her father and told him that the rice plantations were going downhill and that they were going to make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of. That's the boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here. I like to always give you guys at least a heads up on who we're actually trying to hunt down. What's going to happen is all the communication devices, I'm going to give you a set of focus questions. Remember that if you're asking a question, she might get the answer. We never know where it's going to fall. Even if there was just 2 of you here, we always use 2 communication devices, always. So here's how this is going to work. So with yours, Melissa and Karen, both of yours kind of work in tandem. So you're going to be looking for Eliza's full initials in order, ELP. I'm not going to tell you what the L stands for because it's exactly what Karen's going to be looking for. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So 2 Elizas. The first one died. 5 months later, he married the one I just told you about. Ironically enough, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Figure out which Eliza we're dealing with. So yes, we're dealing with 3 Chucks, 2 Elizas so far. So Bella, I don't know why I keep getting names confused tonight. Bella, you're going to be focused on Eliza's death. 4 major things we get answers to. How old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. You know what a pallbearer is? Okay, perfect. Never know, so I always ask. Your device is very unique. It gives us 1 to 2 syllables at a time. Can you see a mention on this lot?
No.
Okay, I can't either, which means it's not here anymore. So you're going to be asking what happened to it. If we get the what, we will often get 2 or 3 numbers from the exact date of when that actually occurred. So again, it's very unique in that sense. You can also ask about the marriage questions. Those are safe questions to do as well. So 3 small little rules about this location just based on where we are. No yes, no questions. That's an obvious. We already talked about that. Be respectful if you're going to ask your own questions, and do not ask about Eliza's children. I will explain the reason why before we leave the space. So again, just don't ask about her kids. You'll cause all activity, including the small EMF that we are already getting, to just cease. And we will have zeros, and you guys won't have any communication from her at all. Just don't poke the bear. So cameras, remember, if you're not already recording, hit those record buttons. We're going to go ahead and scatter about, stay away from the one vehicle we already have here. And I'm going to keep Melissa behind with me for just a minute, and I'll be with everybody in just a minute or 2 to give you a few tips and tricks and write down some notes. All right, so your device works just like yours.
Unmuted.
So anytime there's an EMF spike, instead of getting the actual reading,
Just start listening.
I'm getting words and songs and stuff.
our word list coming?
Heaven, Patrol, You Are, May, Manifest, and Before.
May,
Yeah.
and you have 27? I'm going to verify before I say anything. I love when we have like full dates.
27. And this is where I got 17.5. 17.7.
Well, that May has probably been on there for a good hot minute, I'm guessing. But I'm guessing since we've been in here for sure, right? Yeah, so the wedding date is May 27th. So I knew like her birthday was the day before their actual wedding date. She was born on May 26th.
Shut up.
What?
Yep, go ahead.
So obviously we have May and you have 27. So what you got now, man?
Eliza's birthday is my mom's birthday.
Dude,
Mhm.
you're hired. You want a job with me later? You want to be a ghost hunter like me?
You'll have to fill him in. So.
What was that number again? 3 point what?
Eliza's birthday is Grandma Jenny's birthday.
I think that's a good question.
So we have the wedding date. Because you have May, she has 27.
Yeah.
So we have the wedding date.
So, question for you. I think you made a joke about it too, but like,
Ghosts you may have brought with you.
Yeah.
Like, so my mom passed away when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And her birthday's May 26th. And earlier today we were in a Catholic church and I like felt her there, and that's happened one other time in my life. So I don't know, the first word on here was heaven and it just like hit me.
So heaven is still pretty vague.
Yeah,
I don't want you to get false hope.
1000%. But I didn't think anything my mom was gonna come up here at all.
Why not?
I don't know.
I'm the legit deal. Like,
But
I'm not
like-
here to make stuff up, but I also don't want to give you false hope.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I have
again,
no hope.
and I don't
It's
want to
just
know anything
weird.
else. The reason why is because when I go back to spot check, I don't want to be biased towards looking for something for your mom. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So don't tell me anything else unless it
Okay.
happens in real time.
Okay.
So again, unless some other number or date or something else specific about mom shows up, like name, death date, husband's name, like any of those kind of like very specific concrete things, like heaven doesn't really do it for me. Heaven seems like it's very vague and it's coming from a ghost box that's trying to scare us, right? So like of course heaven's going to come up and you think you have a connection. I just don't. I would be more satisfied if it was the exact date and her name showed up. Then I'm concrete that it's not relative to Eliza, but your mother. Makes sense? So I don't want, again, get false hope. So,
No.
did you get any other numbers before I move on to see what's going on with the other cameras? Because I want to definitely give you a few more minutes to listen in on that, because that's not an easy one to do, and you seem like you're picking up on
Should
it
we
right
be
away.
asking questions?
You can out loud, or you can just focus on things. Obviously, we have things going on around the marriage with you, because I did kind of assign that to you, based on the what happened to the mansion, and I said go ahead and ask the marriage questions. So I'm not surprised that you did get the anniversary date. So I'm going to verify and kind of give you that link, but I know exactly where to go for her. Well, again, showing it to me changes it, just so you know, because you are creating energy, so it's going to change that readout. So yeah, I'll take the 19th word for it. I have to take your word for it. Nice.
Keep on giving high numbers like 7.
What do you got? What do you think that number is?
It's going
There's
right.
no trees.
But it's two fences overlapping. Do we get in? Cause like this
No,
is-
that's people walking
I
by.
didn't see any fences though.
No, but it's right there. We should get it.
Go there. Go down the steps. Do it right there.
Alright. Alright, so Matt, a couple of debunking pieces for you on that.
Yep.
Obviously, you know about the trees,
Yep.
anything with leaves.
Seen that.
It also picks up on shadows.
Okay.
It's not you laying. It's not a ghost on the ground. It's you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's an absence of light. So
Good. I didn't know if that shape was up in the church windows.
anything, even the small window panes of
Yep.
maybe 2 inches, it's going to pick up on
Okay.
that depth.
Yep. Yeah.
So some of these spaces, it's going to be super difficult.
Okay.
That's why I take a ton of screenshots. This video here probably takes me the longest
Yeah.
to go through, just because it's a lot of screenshots. Brighten it, take a look. It's a lot
And
of
I've
throwing.
gotten a lot right there. That was from every angle that was between the two gates.
between the two gates.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see it at the beginning
Okay.
when they're in frame back here and I'm pointed that way, dead center in there. I was
Okay.
getting it.
Right now, I just picked up on the tree across the
Yep.
street. I've seen
Yep.
that. Okay.
And this one was down here because when you go that way, there is no tree.
Okay.
Straight back to that building.
Definitely take a look.
Yeah.
And I do splice all of your videos together, so there's one video per camera. So even when I tell you to stop,
Yeah.
one of the first things I do is I splice them all together
Yep.
per camera, so that way I can spot check it in order.
Yeah. So yeah, like the
Yeah.
Just my
Definitely odd. And of course, all the wrought iron over there being spaced
Yeah.
apart is going to,
Yep.
yeah, it's giving us a lot of weirdness.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, maybe this is something debunk or not, but it seemed to show up. You'll see too me go back and forth because it seemed to show up more when they were in frame here,
Okay.
and I could see it, and then it was there,
Hmm.
and then I'd move away and I'd go toward it, and nothing.
Interesting.
So when they're in frame and I'm getting their shapes, there was one right dead center there. So
Wait, see, not great.
yeah, this angle obviously you got the trees and the bushes
Mm,
back
yeah, a
there,
lot.
but
We have a couple new words.
come back straight. Abby, stay there.
Read them off.
On, sense, not rain, edge, nerve, cold, refuse,
Tube.
tube, and rapport, and manifest.
We're just talking about manifestations.
Yeah, so earlier in the video, it'll be just like this, where they're on the left, and there was just dead center right there.
Okay.
So
That's cool.
a couple times it came up.
Well, what's great about
And
this
it
too
wasn't the rails at that point. It was right in the middle.
but when
so.
you actually have a living human in there,
Yeah.
it's a great reference for height, because ghosts aren't
Yeah.
going to be 50 feet tall.
Yep.
So I try to, because I usually hand this thing off to kids, obviously,
Yeah.
because it's
Yep.
it's an iPad.
Yeah.
It's easy to use. And they're not looking all suspicious filming as we're. That's
But
another.
that's what I'm actually a videographer. That was the joke.
Oh.
So then we're like, well, he's gonna be all over the place with that thing. So
I better take it over. Nice. What you got now?
Calling for help in Southside.
We said
Southside.
we said what color? Oh, I said what color is your dress, and it said translucent. Like meaning like ghost, see through, translucent.
I see where you're going with it, but there's an actual dress tied in with Eliza that's pretty famous here in Charleston.
Really?
Yeah. So it's just weird that you asked that question.
And it said translucent.
And I like Southside for some odd reason. I don't know why. I'm writing it down just in case I can dive into something. Garrett, you got more numbers? No, nothing yet. Rick, how you doing on that cam? Figuring it out.
What did you say the significance of the blue dot was?
It shows the coldest spot in the frame, so that's why it moves around.
Yeah,
Your favorite color?
it seemed like 71 or 72.
Yeah, 67 and below is what I normally do. Because our ambient temperature is
Back here with we're trying to get this right about there. You wanted to see it if I could get it with that right dead in the middle. When we started, I got it about 3 times, but they had to be in frame. It was weird. So I'd move past it and there was nothing.
I want you to ask him about your car in Gatlinburg at some point.
well, I think it's like a little bit calming down. I want to follow up with Melissa, but I think I'm going to regroup us a little bit just to kind of show you how these things tie together. So, yeah, let's get everybody gathered up towards the back again. Now that everybody's kind of getting the gist of this.
Oil.
Oil? That was spilled out on her workbench earlier. So, I mean, you're good to keep it on and up and running because I'm going to give you all the answers. Something else, I forgot what it was. Okay, so yeah, hit those pause buttons on your cameras or stop. Some of them, because fueling was illegal in the 1700s. They had to find hiding spots. This just happened to be one of them. That's why we're here. Here's how the story goes. Melissa's going to be looking for the initials RI. This will be real familiar to you guys once I get this party started. Here's how it goes. The doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. Here's your first RI. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. You get it all the time. So, Dr. Ladd moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda. Amanda just inherited a lot of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash that she just got. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after for money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of that doctor. He comes here to Charleston to prove that he's not after the money. He's going to start his medical practice down here. So on his way to town, he had a coachman. And that coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It's kind of like having a really bad Uber driver in today's world. It's kind of putting things in perspective for the younger people in the group, right? So, now, with that, that person walking by was named Ralph Isaacs. Do those initials sound familiar? Yeah, we've gotten that's the exact reason why I have Melissa's device. It's because I was getting RI all the time on Bella's device and I wanted to verify it. And we've gotten it about, let's say, 6 or 7 times in the past year. So kind of keep that in mind, but only around Ralph's name. And I got it around the Rhode Island. It's kind of a reversal. How I learned all these devices. I know getting. Moving forward, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from my friends, and you'll be safe and good to go. You're going to actually move down away from here. Thanks, boss. We're trying to get away from the air conditioner. It's super loud.
He's gonna need a room tonight.
You're on there. You're on photo. That's awesome. Alright, so where was I? 59 Church Street, right? Doc took Ralph up on this offer.
For exercise?
The other, not the good kind.
Yeah, no, not for the nation. What does it mean?
Doc took him up on this offer, and he's now staying with Ralph's friends at 59 Church Street. Doc started his medical practice down here to make his own money. And he gets wind of this, she's moving down so they can be married. Dr. Ladd then became known as the Whistling Doctor. This is the reason why I hate the damn story. It's because it's a giant cliche. No matter where you go, Haunted City, they're going to have a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Anyway, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So they go see plays, and they go see Richard III, and they're walking home one night, and Dr. Ladd thought the new actress they just saw was fantastic. Ralph didn't. They start arguing. Then it turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got really ugly. They go their separate ways. But Ralph goes to his friends at the newspaper and places an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. He's a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doc saw this ad and rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Somebody's going to die. Keep in mind, this argument started over an actress. I just like to point things out that things can be really dumb back in the 1700s. So, the two gentlemen came down here back to back. They took their faces away from each other. They turned. Doc points his gun in the air. He shoots his one bullet. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. But Ralph has his one bullet still. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc didn't die. He fell to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He died 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. They point out two things about that last statement. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different back then than what we know of them now. Secondly, he's also a doctor. Probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself. Obviously, he failed. Now, because he died on 10 days later. Every tour that comes down here, including the two you just saw, told their guests to listen for the whistles. We have 3 cameras plus my voice recorder running right now. We're going to get a disembodied whistle, more than likely going to come up on one of those 4 devices. However, on Bella's device, I can't tell you how many times I've caught in my spot checks, not looking for it, the whistling part of a song, and then the word doctor immediately afterwards from a commercial. Dozens upon dozens of times. This guy actually has a code word to let me know that he's hanging around. I'm not going to tell anybody what that code word is, just in case you guys hear it along our way. I'll then let you know what that code word is. So it's a very odd word that you wouldn't normally hear on the radio. Now, if you're going to try listening for those whistles on your own, I can't take you all the way through here. I've been kicked out of this space. So let me explain why. That's the fun part of the story. All the adults are looking at me like, why are you telling all of these kids on how you keep getting your ass in trouble? I know, right? So, well, by the way, if you're going to do this on your own, just remember that every local knows the story. That's why I thought when you lived here, like, how do you not know the story? Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down this alley. It's just something we do here in Charleston. So just kind of keep that in mind if you have to actually capture a whistle in your recordings. But this alley, there was a wall up there before it was Dueler's Alley. And that was the reason they kept this closed off, because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. It was called Cow Alley back then. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because they started down by Queen Street and started moving their way forward as where we're standing. Well, that means those bricks down there by Queen are older than the ones you're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child in one of those bricks down there, and some fingerprint swipes and others. I used to take my groups all the way down there for a history lesson. There's nothing paranormal about that piece of history. That's the last place you're going to find that kid. You guys already know how I feel about cemeteries, so why would I take you around that brick looking for ghosts? That kid's not there. November 26th, 2020, I took my entire group down there, and they're all huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I was just pointing it out so we can continue moving forward. Well, we stopped right outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. That new owner came out screaming. My daughter thought it was hysterical because her father's getting yelled at while he's at work, and she was on the tour that night. We just moved on, so we just kind of got away from him, and the next day was Thanksgiving. I don't work on holidays, especially Thanksgiving, because I worked in upper management for Walmart, and you guys all fight over towels on Thanksgiving. I don't work on Thanksgiving anymore. The next day, I called my partner, and it was November 28th that I had at the time that brought me into tourism, and I told him what happened so I could figure out what to do next. He laughed at me, just like my daughter did, and said, dude, you're only allowed to go down halfway. It's residential past that. Reroute your group. Well, normally I would tell you guys a story up and around the corner about pirates. And what I told my group that night was, I don't get into pirates, I'm into vampires. So we're going to see what happens. But before we left, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be looking into. The female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe we'll get something. We took them up around the corner, told them what I knew about pirates in Charleston. Wasn't much, but I did it anyway. Somebody else heard the number 300. No clue what it meant. Wrote it down. I did the research for them the next morning. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact same date, 300 years later, November 28th of 2020. So I was kind of like, okay, guess I'm going to be doing a pirate story. You okay, buddy? Do we need to get out of here? It's pretty warm down here. Yeah, we're about to wrap this up, so let's go ahead and we can get him out of here if that's okay.
His meter's jumping out. It keeps jumping out.
How high is it going?
It's like it jumped to a 3.8 while there, and then it's bouncing around.
okay, man? Yeah, it gets pretty warm down here pretty fast. Want to sit down?
You can sit down at them steps.
Just have a seat. There's a little bit of a breeze coming through right here.
He looks like he's got
Yeah, he does look a little wobbly. Well, he's had a long day from what you guys have told me. So what we're going to be doing next, just so you guys know, Greg's camera is going to be the focus because we're looking for an apparition. So this particular cemetery we're going to, I'll obviously give you guys the history of that space, and then we'll spend about 5 to 7 minutes getting some actual footage while everybody listens to their spirit boxes, including yours, while we're up there. It is kind of like the last stop for every other ghost tour, so we may have to wait our turn, but luckily for you guys, it's Sunday night. We probably won't have to. I'll explain our last 2 locations after that because they're completely different than what we've been doing this entire night, just so you guys know. So how's your battery life looking on your camera now, Greg?
2 bars.
2 bars, yeah. We're gonna swap you out when we get up and around the corner. Anything being heard on your spirit box over there, Miss Bella? Nothing? I know you were on mute, so when we start moving again, obviously unmute. Are we okay to go ahead and try to move him so we can get him out of this hot alley?
Gary, let's get out of this alley.
Let's get out of this alley. I mean, he's looking pretty pale. Like, only get him out of this heat.
You okay?
3.8. Did you get anything on your section?
You're passing out on me.
Here, buddy. I think your camera bag's nicer than mine, brother.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a good look at it.
I have to haul all their stuff around, so
What do you wait for?
Low Pro seems to be the
it's good. Yeah.
even my cases inside that hold everything.
Yep.
All Low Pro. So cameras come right up to the gate. I'm gonna need you guys front and center. So for yours, Greg, the sign is literally right in front of you. You might want to get a shot of that first, like down below you. It says there's no ghost here besides the Holy Ghost. And then your apparition that you guys are looking for is right near her grave. So her grave is, you see the cross in the back? Her grave's to the left of that and 1 more row back. So Greg, did you find out where the zoom is on there?
Yep.
Perfect. So yeah, zoom right in on there and see what you can get. With yours, try to hold it as still as possible, obviously, because of there's so many layers that are in there. We'll get about 5 to 7 minutes worth of footage while we're here. Spirit boxes, feel free to start listening in. So go ahead and unmute yours. I'm going to bring up this photograph so you guys can all see it as soon as I find it. Perfect. So here is the full apparition that he took, the full picture. Your apparition is right here. You're looking at a woman's back with a baby basket next to her.
Oh, God.
That is her grave right there. You guys kind of chime in on this as well. So this is the full picture that he took. Your apparition is right here. You're looking at her back. She's praying over her own grave with the baby basket right next to her.
Wow.
Pretty crazy stuff, huh? Full pic. And then the apparition is right here. Her back. And she was actually on the other side of her grave, like looking this way. And that's the baby basket next to her. Kind of keep in mind everything I told you about George Pinckney as well, the baby that didn't have a grave. The baby could be buried with mom here, even though the baby was stillborn. So I don't know how they dealt with that type of situation back then. But again, it's a possibility. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, because the records were all destroyed. I did look for them. And every tour like fights for this location. Are you hearing anything at all?
I thought you caught me.
I like it. You got anything? You got the SH? SH. I gotta write down. You caught me. That's a good one. See why I don't like to take 20 people out at a time? You guys hear that tour guide walking by? I always forget to turn off that extra light, and then it burns up in my pocket. That light that Greg's using. It gets so hot. Like, what's burning my chest? What's that? That's something. So, just so you guys know, the anniversary of this is June 16th. of her. That's her death date of when the apparition was caught. So I decided. Anybody remember what June 16th was this year? What holiday it was? Fathers? In the room? Anybody? Yes,
Oh, it
there you
was,
go. Father's
yeah.
Day. So it was a Sunday this year. So I decided, because I don't work on holidays, right? So I came down the night of the 15th after my tour, and I finished up all their data, and I came down here with, you know, the other infrared camera that I was using, and I poked it right through the gate. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hear this. Hey, just a key jingle, and then a hey. There's nobody around. It was a Sunday morning. I'm looking around, got nobody. So I had to pull my camera out just in case there was somebody monitoring the grounds, in case they don't want guys like me trying to, you know, recreate what happened. Which, by the way, that light off there to the left was put there purposely to try to deflect the cameras from recreating. It's supposed to create a light flare. You get that as a photographer, right?
Yep.
So we'll kind of give this another minute
Is
or
it-
two.
Is it quiet and dead down here at 3 in the morning?
Oh yeah, yeah. I walk around the city all the time with these cameras, just like randomly
Nobody
looking for
around,
new spaces or
everybody's- yeah.
doing TikToks or whatever I'm doing. Social media marketing is kind of how I keep everything grassroots for myself. So if I gotta walk around with a crazy camera at 3 in the morning, I'll do it.
Yep.
Nothing going on the Ouija board over there?
Alright.
How's the word list coming? What do we got?
Question, confirm, and initial.
We did get our initials. Is that our safe?
Let me see.
Nothing else came up on that guy either.
I got none of them really clear.
You heard none of them were clear?
Really clear. Like,
Oh, you haven't heard anything that's been clear. Okay. Yeah, we'll give this like another minute or two.
That's it. Yeah, it's the tree. It's been doing
Yep.
it the whole time.
He's got this.
Now there was a blip
Where?
right there in the center where we're looking.
Okay.
2 blips right now.
those are trees.
No, it's right in the center where the cross was. Full body for 1 second.
Oh, that's good. Especially since you've been holding it that still.
That's what I do.
I was gonna say, Greg might have a job with me later, whether he likes it or not, because he's got some good footage going too. He's got a little bit of a glimmer, but it might be some of the dots from your camera, because it does spray out that LiDAR technology in order to create it. So I think we're getting some of those. You see what I'm talking about, Greg, right there? Yep. All right, I got a blip to look for. That's cool.
There
I
were
like
2
blips.
of them, right? Yep. And about, I mean, it was about from the top of the cross down to the, well, double that size, really.
Okay.
Tall, so.
So a pretty decent height reference then
Yeah.
for an actual person to be back there. 7?
7. I got
7?
No,
Just 7.
I got shh.
Oh, you got shushed? Lost my page.
Another blips in the middle here.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah.
Look. Which one? I want to listen. Just don't hold it.
Andrew? Violent regulation.
I keep missing that middle blip. I saw it just there a
Yeah.
split second.
It'll. I'll see
It
it.
said, "Are you uninvited?"
There we
Okay,
go.
Sue.
What?
We're gonna wrap it up, Sue. Last second. Cameras on 3, 2, 1. I always count them down, so go ahead and hit stop and pause on your cameras. Definitely got some stuff to look at. What you would want to ask this young lady to come and talk to us. So put these on slowly. I'll give you a few tips once you get them over your ears.
Sure. Look. Wait for it to generate something
Very
and
clear.
we'll do.
Wherever you point the microphones is where you're going to get the most sound. So if the parts are too noisy for you, point towards your belly, and obviously they'll make the sound red lights coming straight at me. I'm like, ah.
Oh, sorry.
Some of them.
What's the number I should be looking for?
Anytime it times out, it comes back as regular.
So that top button on the left column, there's only two
Can't do
columns.
that.
It's the power button. If you just tap it, it just moves it back here. Alright, so, what did we get out of yours, Abby?
I got Hang,
Okay,
Guess Who, and 7.
7 again.
I have Carrie.
Theory, Juice.
Phil, did you get anything else
No,
besides all the
not
church stuff? So she's hearing a lot of church, like religious type phrases. That's common on a Sunday night in the Holy City. So I don't write any of that stuff down. It's kind of irrelevant at this point. So here's how this one goes. This is you already know I have my limits, or else I would have taken you a lot further. 2 more blocks down the road is where a murder happened on November 1st of 1933. A woman fell down. This is only 90 years old compared to the 17 and 1800 stuff that we've been discussing all night long. But a woman fell to the ground and started screaming in pain. A man hit me. I know I'm going to die. That's what she's saying over and over and over again. Well, everybody's a gentleman back then, and somebody drove by and seen that there was a woman on the ground. They stopped to help her, and he can't figure out what's going on with this woman either. So he basically helps her into his car and takes her down to the hospital. It's where MUSC sits now, but it was St. Roper's back then, a couple miles from here. He takes her down there. She has a doctor. The doctor's name is Dr. James Avery Finger. It's a funny name, but we've had all 3 parts of his name while we've been here. The doc can't figure out what's going on with her, and the woman dies on his table. Her name was Mary Ravenel. If you came over here from Mount Pleasant, you came over here to that giant bridge. That's the Ravenel Bridge. If you watch Southern Charm, the Ravenel family is a character on that show. So it kind of gives you an idea of where the name came from. Anyway, the Ravenels are a very prominent family. And the doctor couldn't figure out what was going on with the woman that died, so he sends her over to the coroner in autopsy, and the coroner finds a scrape underneath her arm, and then a bullet hole inside of her ribcage. She died of a 38. Bullet went all the way through her chest and killed her slowly. Now, here's what we know. I know, very weird story. You're looking at me in shock. Very weird story because when somebody picked her up and took her to the hospital, the shooter got away. We have no idea who he is to this day. It's a cold case. Like, still don't know who the hell she is or who the hell this person was that shot her. There's no gunpowder residue on the body.
How do I get that on? Like the screen?
The backlight screen.
Yeah.
No gunpowder residue on her body, and all of her cash and jewelry were intact. This woman was not robbed. So, she's 64 years old, and she's a widow to the Ravenel family. Her husband was John Ravenel. She's from Detroit, Michigan. I want you guys to all kind of think of this for a second, that a northerner married into a southern family, and the southerner died. How do you think that southern family feels about a northerner taking over the southern money? Not very good. And that's my assumption. I can't prove any of it. I just like to get your wheels spinning. So, with this particular location, what would you ask this woman to try to come and talk to us through Melissa's ears? What questions would you ask her? Come on, I told you guys there was a quiz.
Right there.
Who are you? Okay, well, we can prove that. That's good. So if she says her name, we know it's her. That's good. I like it. What up? You guys all watch Law and Order. Come on, somebody's got a question.
Well, who shot you?
Who shot you? Okay.
How did you die?
How did she die? And there's some things we can prove, some things we can't. Does she know the person? That's a common question I get out of you guys. Why were you shot? Was there a motive? Okay. So I want you guys to keep in mind, even though you're asking me the question, you're literally asking Mary. The point I'm trying to prove here is your TV shows will come up with a game plan in one part of their haunted space, and then they turn around and scream to their ghost. Is anybody here that wants to talk to us? And it's unnecessary. The ghost can hear you. So just like this, talk to your ghost as if they're a person, because they once were. So that's kind of how I treat this. And basically, you're literally asking me questions face to face in hopes that she's going to answer through Melissa's ears. That's the whole point of this. You can just treat it just like a person. These are great questions. So let me tell you what we've caught so far while you guys are spinning your wheels on other questions. So far, I've been coming, this is a new space for this year. Again, I've only do this during the week. So first time, well not the first time, a couple of weeks after we got started with this, somebody heard something in real time, meaning the person listening raised their hand and said, I just heard a female voice. It was a perfectly quiet rando Wednesday, and I went back into the office and verified it. And the voice says, help, help. In real time, when the person raised their hand, I did send one of you around the corner to look for people, and of course we scoured around looking for people around that could have said something. Nobody around. A couple of weeks later, we get another voice. Same thing. The listener heard, I heard a voice. It sounded like a female. Looked around, nobody around. Go back to the office. The voice said, "Help me, I have fallen." The great thing about this whole scenario is it's the same damn voice. I have the keyword of help that I can actually look at the audio waves and compare the two of them. It's the same damn voice, guys. Again, I can't make this stuff up. I wish I could. Sorry, motorcycles got super loud in there too. Yeah, they'd be horrible. So I don't do it on the weekends because this whole corner is just covered in motorcycles. And we have the clock and paragraph, of course. Super great. With this particular location and what we're doing here, I have some mumbles, and I don't count mumbles, I can't make them out. But I also, any other major questions you would ask before I show you why I tell this story? Vocal tag the tour guide on the carriage, and he's actually talking. Sorry, that's just for me, so I don't count him as a ghost lake. I do listen to this recording from start to finish. So it's the one thing I don't spot check. I actually listen to it. Again, it's the first thing I do while everything's uploading. What other questions would we ask? We got anything else? It's okay if you don't. I know this is a tough one. All right, so let me tell you why I tell this story. So I just told you I'm about to blindfold some people and put somebody else under virtual reality. One night, we're doing our little blindfold session, and the person listening to the spirit box and blindfolded hears the number 33. This murder took place in 1933. The name Mary and the word murder. And then we get this image that I have no idea what it means. It's all correlated. Wow. There's a horse right there. Does he not realize he could have speak that horse? Sorry. Anyway. So the image that came through the virtual reality piece, I still didn't know what the correlation was until I started looking at other stories that might be relevant around here. I'm looking at 33, Mary, murder, like I'm looking at all these things. I'm going to show you the image that showed up and then tell you, this will basically tell the story of why I tell you the story that I just did. So what I'm about to show you is a picture of Mary herself. And Mary's going to be on the left. The image that showed up to virtual reality is on the right. I want you to remember the terms that came out of the person with the blindfold. Murder, Mary, 33. No idea what any of these things meant when I looked at them all together until I obviously found this case. Facial features are pretty much the same. Cheekbones, the eye placement, the eye facial, the eyebrows, the whole 9 yards. Everything is pretty much identical. So, yeah, sorry, Gary. Exactly why I tell you guys the story. So the hope here is that whenever we get over there, we're just going to this park right over here. Mary could still bleed over into that. And bleed over not being an actual bleed over. You guys getting the point. We talked about bleed overs earlier. So hopefully we get some more things over there. Does anybody else want to give this thing a crazy listen before we pack it up? Jackson's like, hell no, I ain't listening to that. It immediately should be said. Any takers? Wow, normally I get like all or none. You guys are hysterical. I love it. So it's like everybody wants to try it or nobody wants to try it, especially after we get motorcycle jerks like what we just had earlier. Any words show up for us over there, Karen, since we've been here?
Chair, rise, transit, round, mean, carry, juice, gouge.
I don't know who Terry is, but that name sounds really familiar. I don't know why. I'm going to look at the report and see if it matches up with anything. Transit is okay, just because she was picked up by a vehicle. That would be a term that they would use back then in 1933 would be transit. So it's vague, but I'll look at it and see if there's anything else that ties into it. Ellen, did you get anything else that came out? Are you listening? All right. You have a square button, 2 buttons to the left of your ring of fire. Tap that button and peel off your headphones. Because again, I crank it all the way up as hard as I can. That way I can find whatever's in there. So this is very, by the way, if you guys do watch the ghost hunting TV shows, they're starting to use this particular model on the TV shows now. Jackson so yeah, this is getting to be a pretty common thing. I know a lot of people like use the Tascam. I did a lot of research, and this guy here just seems to fit the bill perfectly for what we're doing. And I've tried it in other locations, like looking for whistles down the alley. I've tried doing it during this blindfold session with somebody else, like, you know, doing different things. I love to experiment and just try new things out. So you'll kind of see as we kind of get up and around the corner what we're going to be doing over there. This one isn't always a real time with the other devices. It's always a real time with the recorder only. So kind of see how this goes when I get back to the office. All right, Miss Mary, you can follow us if you want. The next location. Let's go blindfold some kids. Let's do this. You ready? Come on. This is the fun part of the night. You can hit that stop.
That was on my phone. My It said something.
What'd you get? What'd you get?
Did you hear that? I mean, I just hit the app online because I hit it. It said,
It was crazy.
yeah.
What did it say though? I heard a noise. I just didn't hear one.
It said something.
Just meow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard meow. Wait, who's winning this game?
Alright, so Bella, I'm going to give you a blindfold that I don't want back, okay? So throw it away when we're done. Girls, don't put anything on until we come back. We're going to go right over there, and if I blindfold a bunch of girls and leave them on a bench in the middle of the night, it never looks good. So, don't put anything on.
this?
I didn't record that. By the way.
I did. Sit here and chat for 5 minutes while I teach everybody else history, and we will be right back. So we can, all right, everybody, follow me. Let's do this. Oh, we don't get them blindfolded. Those are better. All right. Everybody's got their role once we get over there, just so you guys know. In the event that I'm not getting anything out of Miss Bella for communication, it is hopefully going to show up on Melissa and Karen's devices. So if you guys get a word that's being spelled out for me, just let me know what the word is. So nice and simple. I'll be asking them questions. Obviously cameras. So Greg, yours is going to be focused on them because they're going to want to watch this shit later on. They have the best picture. The other 2 cameras, if you want to do full 360s, just standing still, that's fine too. We've caught anomalies with both cameras at this location. And EMF, Jackson, we've seen triple digits in here, so definitely keep an eye on what's going on with your device when we get over there. Here's how this one goes. This was a new spot for last year, and I only had 2 people. I always start in November looking for a new space for the following year. And again, it's easier because the groups are usually a little bit smaller, and everybody canceled that night for 2 people. It was freezing. So I told the young lady with the spirit box, tell me whatever you hear. I know a lot of ghost tours come here, I just don't know why. Let's figure it out. So she hears the year 1828 and the name Henry. I was using Karen's word list that night, and the name Henry showed up. Behind me, I'm sorry, she hears Henry, I had Tim. This bus behind me is Henry Timrod. He was born in 1828. I was like, well, hot damn, there's my ghost. That's an easy one. So here's his very quick story, so that way you guys know what to do when we get over there. Henry was very sick through most of his life, and he was a writer. He's old enough to go fight in the Civil War, 1860s. So he goes out to the battlefield. His comrades realized he was too sick to fight. He sent his ass home, knowing he was a writer, and said, go be the voice of the war, man. Go tell people what's going on out here. Came home to Charleston, started writing poetry about what was happening on the battlefield. He became known as the Laureate of the Confederacy. That's a pretty big title in the writing world, in case you're not familiar. Now, Henry has a son. The son is born on Christmas Eve. His name is Willie. He died 9 months later. Last dead child of the night, because it is our last story, just so you know. Again, I can't always guarantee that, but tonight's our last story. Willie, I don't always poke the bear with Willie, but I may have to tonight. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, him and his wife Katie are mourning, and Henry's not writing as much. He has another writer friend that he went to school with. His name is Paul Hamilton Hayne. He offers him his cottage in the middle of Columbia and says, go get back on track, man. Let Katie, your wife, mourn with her parents that were here visiting. So he took him up on the offer. He goes out to that cottage, and that's where he wrote his last words. His last words were, beholder of brief mortality. Modern day English, dear person with a short life. And then he coughed, and it landed on the page in a blood stain. He had tuberculosis. He died right there at age 38, pen in hand. It's a perfect way for a writer to go. Now, there's more. Because again, we wouldn't be here if it was just a normal guy that died at the age of 38. They show this bloodstain one day a year at the Charleston Library Society. You have to be a member of that library society to be able to go see it because they only show it on Halloween. That's it. And the reason why they show it on Halloween is because it looks like a man writing at his desk. We call it the Blood Book. Again, it is the only way to see it is to go there in person. However, the internet's beautiful. I'm going to show you what this bloodstain looks like. And then we're going to hopefully go talk to Bella as if she's the ghost. So for each family, well, I guess mainly for Bella's family. Nice. There we go. We're on a roll. In the event event that Bella's talking too loud, I don't think that's going to be an issue, just so you guys know. I'm going to need a family member to tap her on the shoulder for her to quiet down a little bit. So we do have some neighbors. I'll try not to make them angry. You guys get the point. When we're done, because she's not going to be able to hear me, I'll need one of you to actually tap her on the leg. And never touch the guests that are actually on the bench, ever, just so you guys know. Now, obviously, Abby's going to be able to hear me like perfectly fine because she's just wearing a virtual reality headset. I'll give her direction as needed. So that blood stain looks like this. This is the actual page. Looks like a man writing at his desk. So, again, this is what we call the blood book. And for me as a writer, this tells the whole story. Beholder of brief mortality, cough, cough, death. There we go. We started off with a nice, easy football player. Just make sure it got a little bit darker as we kind of move through the night. So, let's go talk to a ghost. This guy's pretty timid. Let's see if we can get him to come out tonight. Sorry, I'll help you out with the kind of stuff. So, two little things. Well, in the event position, start in there. You're going to turn the volume so you can't hear me talk. I'll ask you silly questions to make sure you can't hear me. And then, you're going to, when you hear things, just say it. Say it. If you hear it, just say it. Just keep it coming. You don't know what I'm asking. Even if it's yes or no answer, because you don't know what I'm asking.
No matter what it is.
No matter what it is, just say it. Now, if you're too loud, somebody's going to tap you on the shoulder. Quiet down. We have neighbors here. Piss everybody off. When we're done, if you want to hear me, the same person will tap you on the knee. I'm never going to touch you. That means we're done. Take off your own gear. This is a Batman mask. So obviously your ears go through where my fingers are, and then your headphones will hold it in place. So the minute, and we're only going to do this for 10 minutes. That's it.
It's
Any
just
more than that can be a little disorienting for certain people.
That's just.
So blindfold first and headphones and crank up
He
your
looks like he's
earphones.
right here.
Oh, it looks like he's saluting.
Yeah.
It kept going up.
Just put them up to your eyes, and wherever they fall is where you're
Yeah, he's so weird.
Or throwing it.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to tell him, like, it's
Tell him.
constant.
your headphones will hold it in
We're,
place.
we see
They
something.
always bring extra.
We're seeing something.
It looks like a man is either saluting or throwing something repeatedly.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Good. Keep that going, but it does look like you have a full length of the building up there. Remember we
Yeah.
talked about height?
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and put it on?
Yeah, headset on. And crank it up. You,
Is that
you're
really
number
a tall
12.
person?
Okay, this is not going to be Jurassic Park eating your face off. This kind of stuff. Just so you have that. Every once in a while, a photograph or an image or an image will show up in front of that galaxy. The galaxy's going to move. Don't look for images in it. It's just there to keep your eyes busy so that you're not falling asleep with it. Describe the image in brief description. Two girls bench tree. We'll be able to see the images when you come out of it. So stop that video. Not really sure what you're looking
Oh, it's the same thing, but just a different angle. This is
Have the same thing going on?
just hurry to download on the
Remember, it's not moving. It's not a movie or a short video. It's an image.
whatever you do.
That's it.
Fight back.
Okay, she's way too loud. Tap her on the shoulder. Henry?
Oh.
I got two ladies on the bench right now, and I'm setting up the blue box for you to use. Looks like we're seeing some things in some of the other boxes where we can see things. So this is Bella and Abby. Just look straight ahead, and if it's blurry in there, your focus is right here. So just move it until it's nice and clear for you. There you go. Look straight ahead.
I'm doing the same thing.
Henry?
Cheering your ass. Well, it's just because I want to go
Henry? Let's talk about your work. Let's kind of get right into it.
It's still like blurry. I guess that's okay.
card.
Last one.
Is it difficult for you to come through? That's a yes/no question. Henry, who else came here with you?
Nice house.
House. Did you go to a nice house?
Member of the family.
Did you go to a nice house to rate that last page? You can give us an image. Maybe we'll understand that better. We wanted to act like it goes. Henry, another image would be fantastic. Can you help us out? It's super antsy. See your feet tapping? I've seen worse. I just think it's kind of
Little bit long.
a little bit lost. Henry, can you let somebody else come through then? Is Mary around? We tried to talk to her earlier.
Doctor.
Loyalty.
Is that what you got?
Doctor.
And I'm sorry, what did she say? Loyalty. Loyalty. Dr. Ladd, can you tell us something specific about you? Preferably your code word. What is your code word?
Leave.
That what you got? Leave. Any more images at all? Any numbers? Any numbers on your box?
Lasting.
Lasting.
Dr. Ladd, what's your code word? I want to verify that it's you before I start addressing you. Otherwise, we're going to move back to Henry.
Expansion.
That's not the code word. Melissa, nothing over there? Okay, back to Henry. Henry, let's talk about your son. Can you tell us what holiday he was born on? What's his birthday?
No.
It just says no? Okay. Told you, he's not always happy about me being here. That makes sense to me. You want to talk about your wife instead?
Yes, I use.
Talk about your wife. Can you tell us her name? Maybe show us an image of her?
Notes. Zoe.
Name is not Zoe. Can you tell us her name? Try again. Henry, we're past the halfway mark. We've got about 3 minutes left. We would like some more images so Abby doesn't fall asleep in there. Bar? What did she say? I'm not going to the bar.
Girls.
2 girls. Are you unhappy that there's 2 girls on the bench? Are you okay in there? Notice your breathing. Henry? If you'd like us to leave, tell us to leave or go home. Give us the work home. And maybe we'll oblige by it. We're just looking for verification that you're here. Right now you haven't given us much.
New Shepherd.
New shepherds.
Family life.
Henry, can you give us another image? I was asking about your work, your wife, your son. I've asked you a lot of very personal questions. We're running out of time. You know, we're only out here for 10 minutes at a time.
All that.
I got a no.
You gotta know. Henry?
Huge.
Henry, did you bring Dr. Ladd with you? You've got 2 no's about other things when I've asked about your family. doctor. Can you tell us who that's relevant to? We'll take another image. Again, we're running out of time. What was it? Are you happy that there's other tours in here? I know you don't like a whole lot of crowd in here. Henry, just give us another image and we'll call it quits. We'll leave, we'll get out of your hair, and leave you in peace.
Soil.
Henry, we're going to wrap it up. Can you tell us goodnight? Henry, another image would be fantastic. Less than a minute. Last chance. Henry, going once. Going twice.
I want to be free.
That's fair, right? Alright, let's go ahead and tap her on the leg. I think it's done there. And feel that off your face, Abby. Take a look at your one image that you had. Don't get up. I don't need baby giraffes falling on the ground. How do you feel? Are you okay? Your face is a little red. I know it's warm out here, but I'd like to make sure you guys are okay. You have a button next to your volume. Click it so it turns the machine off. Take a look at this image that she has. She only had one. And they look more like lily pads to me than they do like white stones. So, really good. Looks more like lily pads. At least to me. And to be honest with you, whenever I get these images where I'm like on the fence based on different descriptions, I run them through Google Lens. So if I miss something, Google Lens will kind of give me a little bit more hints to be able to see if it verifies with something else. So I'm going to count this as unsuccessful only because, I mean, we had two no's coming out of two different devices. Whenever I brought up the family, did you guys notice that? You had one with the child, you had one with the wife. So again, I still kind of have to count this. And it weren't like direct answers to my questions. But again, we